All right, how's it going, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I hope this day finds you well, or this evening, afternoon finds you well. We are on day 16, path 26 of Oyen, or Oanonin, or Eanonin, or Aanonin, however you want to say it. I say Oanonin because the letter Ayin or Oyen typically makes an O sound. All right, let's look at the image of the card before we get started. Here it is. Take a screenshot of that if you'd like. All right, let's get started. Got a vanilla rooibos chai tea this morning. It's doing the trick. Here we go. The 26th tunnel is under the aegis of Oanonin, whose number is 237. His name should be uttered in a raucous and bleating tone. That's B-L-E-A-T-I-N-G, bleating. In the key of A. His sigil should be painted in black within an indigo colored and inverted pentagram. This tunnel underlies the 26th path, which transmits the 16th kala in the series of the microcosmic kalas, commencing with the 11th path. It should at this point be remembered that the cosmic or aeonic power zones constitute the 10 Sephirot, or Sephiroth. Da'at being not a kala in the strict sense of the term, but a gate of ingress and egress of Iwas, 78, via Keter. See note. Excuse me. There are 78 keys or calls in the Book of Thoth, and they all have a place on the Tree of Life. 78 is a number of Iwas, the extraterrestrial intelligence that communicated to Crowley the book of the law of the present Aeon of Horus. Allegedly. That's my allegedly, not his. It is also the number of Mezla, the influence from above or beyond, like Mazlot. The singular Mazlot is like Mezla, perhaps. Note that 26, the number of this tunnel, times 3, the number of Saturn or Set, equals 78. Remember, there's 78 cards in the tarot deck. That's what the 78 keys are that he was referring to. Note also that Yazidi, with the Aeon of 11 towers, referred to by Crowley in the Cephalodium working. Cephaloidium working. Cephaloedium working. See Mesla, edited Ayers and Siebert, NOS 5 and 6, where this working is published. What a note. Okay, moving on. The microcosmic or sexual power zones are the 22 paths which, together with the 10 aeonic or macrocosmic power zones, make 32 in all. The 22 paths are reflections in human consciousness of the power zones of the cosmic consciousness. The aeons may also be considered in relation to the cerebral centers in man, and the kalas in relation to the sexual centers. Okay, so this is an allusion to an AL allusion to the idea that perhaps the Sephirot are aspects of collective consciousness, and the Dedeketh or Nabitoth or paths, however you want to call them, are reflections of the subjective consciousness, and then, which is to say, the personal one. And so therefore to some degree, but not entirely, the Qliphote represent, or could represent, the collective unconsciousness and or the processes by which those forces came about, and therefore the tunnels or caverns or gulches, whatever you want to call them, they would therefore represent the subjective unconsciousness. Okay? This isn't just this is useful stuff. This isn't just mystical stuff to spout off to people so that you seem wise, and that's why you haven't done anything with your life, because you're so wise. Or that's why you have neglected to resolve your trauma, because it's just a part of you, right? No, it's not. Okay, so moving on. Okay, it is a part of you, but that doesn't mean that it has to continue limiting you. Let's be clear about that. Moving on. The psychosexual mechanism of the 16th kalas in humanity, 8 in the female, 8 in the male, is reflected from the aeonic centers, or cosmic power zones, into the cerebrospinal fluid and endocrine system. The 16th kala, in a macrocosmic sense, is equated with path 16, the path of the Har, or child, Horus. He is born of the goddess 15, represented on path 15, as the star whose mystical emblem is the 11th zodiacal sign, Aquarius. This symbolism has been explained in Aleister Crowley and the Hidden God, to which the reader is referred. The reflection of Horus in the 16th microcosmic kala, which is number 26, is the devil, or double, or Horus, i.e. Set. A perfect fusion and balance of forces in the micro and macrocosms is thus attained in this 26th kala, which is ruled by the energies of Capricorn. The goat is the astroglyph of the scarlet woman, whose EYE, Ayin, is attributed to this path via the symbolism of Atu 15, the devil. This Ain, or I, or Oyen, reaches its fullest extent in the name of the sentinel of this tunnel, i.e. Oanonin, spelled A. It's apostrophe, but it's a yod. So A apostrophe, A, N-O, apostrophe, N-I-N. Eanonin, or Oanonin. His number is 237, which is also that of Ur-He-Ka, the magic power of the goddess S-H-P-H-C-H-H. Sefech. 393, see note. See remarks on page 166. Okay. 393 relates to Sefech. 237 is also the number of Ieraomi, Ieriomi, to be a priest or priestess, which confirms the sacred nature of this number. The sigil of Oanonin shows the Ur-Heke, or Ur-Heka, surmounted by the head of the priest and surrounded by the letters BKRN, which add up to 272. This number of Aroa, earth, and of Bor, to consume, that's A-R-O-A and B-O-R, to consume, to be beastly, brutish, etc. It is also the number of Orb, meaning the evening. Olive? I guess you could spell that O-R-B. Olive Tov? Olive? Yeah, it's like Oyen Resh Bet, right? Anyway. Orb, meaning the evening, or an Arab, a person living in the West. Wow. Never thought about orb relating to the evening before, and the moon. Anyway, moving on, I digress. The West is the place of Babylon, according to some traditions. Her totem, the goat, is the glyph of earth in the West as the place of the setting sun. ober, OBR, a metathesis or metathesis of orb, denotes tears, myrrh dropping, from the Egyptian word ABR, ambrosia, ointment, and from aft, AFT, meaning exuding, distilling. The magical powers of Path 26 relate to the witch's Sabbath and the evil eye, and its kala is that which is distilled by the rite of the 11th degree. For the evil eye is the eye of night, i.e., the moon, and the ointment, unguent, or myrrh dropping is the vinum sabbati, prepared at sundown in the cauldron of the scarlet woman. Capricorn is the secret flame whereon the cauldron seethes, hence its connection with the Vesta, who, together with the deities Kem, Set, Pan, and Priapus, is assigned to Path 26. The secret flame whereon the cauldron seethes. Love it. The disease typical of this kala is priapism, and the animals sacred to it are the oyster, the goat, and the ass. The latter is the specific totem of the female and of the Clifoth, associated with the moon of Yesod, the Gamaliel, or obscene ass. Pardon me. The tunnel of Wanonin is haunted by satyrs, fauns, and panic demons, and the order of Clifoth, or Clifoth, associated with it is Dagdagiron, meaning the fishy, which denotes the feminine nature. The corresponding magical weapon is the secret force represented by the shuttered lamp, which is an allusion to the eye concealed in the buttocks of the goat. The tarotic attribution of this Path 26 is the trump entitled the Devil, the Lord of the Gates of Matter. For the lunar current is the menstruum or reification, which seethes within the cup of Babylon. She is the bride of Choronzon, for he is, in truth, Lord of the Gates of Matter. According to Liber 231, the Lord Kem arose, he who is holy among the highest, and set up his crowned staff for to redeem the universe. This means that Set, or Pan, erects the phallus to redeem the universe, the technical formula of which redemption is resumed in the 11th degree OTO. The black diamond is the secret symbol of this operation, which involves the gross powers of generation. Gross in more than one way to some, I'm sure. The gross powers of generation, for the diamond glitters in the darkness of matter as the eye of Set. The African pantheon is represented in this tunnel by Legba, the fetish of the knotted stick, i.e. the phallus. He is sometimes known as Echua, the rejected. Rejected, that is, by the non-initiate, who is unable to understand the value of the first matter and its relation to subtler aspects of consciousness. Do I go into alchemy and talk about the first matter? Not here. Okay. First matter, in this context, is an allusion to the excremental fluid that forms part of the vinum sabbati, Vinumsabbati. This is distilled at the Feast of Legba, which is known as Odun, Odin, and which is undoubtedly the precursor to the witch's Sabbath. Odun, or Odin, Odun, means the year, and signifies a completed cycle of time, thus linking the symbolism with the periodic cycle of the female. All right. The reference is to the lunar serpent that confers perpetual wealth, hence its association with the devil and material power. as it is important to make a distinction between the magic of the 11th degree as practiced by contemporary members of the OTO and the interpretation of that degree given by Crowley in his magical records. All right. So it says C note here. We'll jump down. See the magical record of the B666. Okay. I feel justified in quoting the following passage from Aleister Crowley in The Hidden God concerning the symbolism of this tunnel. Listen up, folks. The symbolism reveals the formula of the 9th degree OTO, which is the reverse and complementary right. I'm sorry. Let me reread that. I was wondering. The symbolism reveals the formula of the 11th degree OTO, which is the reverse and complementary right of the 9th degree. It does not involve the sodomitical use of sex, as Crowley supposed, but the use of the lunar current as indicated in his magical record by the phrase L, rub, E-L period, R-U-B period, elixir rubeus. You either know or you don't. The ancient draconian mysteries of Chem. This is still from Aleister Crowley and the Hidden God. The ancient draconian mysteries of Chem, upon which the cult of Shaitan Iwas is ultimately based, are silent concerning any sodomitical formula, except as a perversion of magical practice. In that tradition, the most ancient in the world, Horus and Set originally represented north and south. The heat of Set was symbolized by the blackening or reddening power of the sun in the south. Also by Sothis, the star which announced the periodic inundation of the Nile. Mystically interpreted as a phenomenon of the female mysteries. The red mud, the inundation of the blind Horus, the Osiris swathed in bandages, the weeping or eclipsed sun, all were equally symbolic in the periodic cycle of the female nature. Set as the seat did not symbolize the literal fundament, but the foundation in the lunar and yesodic sense of the physiological flux, that is, the true basis of manifestation and stability. Similarly, the retrogressive symbolism of the medieval parody of these ancient mysteries, with its so-called witches' Sabbath, and Abscaenum. I don't know Latin or French, sorry folks. Was a readable reference to the lunar formula. The misinterpretation of these mysteries in anal terms is, to the initiate, as much a perversion of doctrine, and, as such, a sacramental blasphemy, as is the recital of the Lord's Prayer backwards, and the defilement of the sacraments to the Orthodox Christian. See note, Aleister Crowley and the Hidden God. All right, so this might be the time to talk about this. The middle path, as close as you can get it, confers many abilities. One of those abilities is the gift of tongues or translation. And part of the way that develops is by understanding that nothing is ever just anything. Nothing ever just means one thing. So, just as Crowley was wrong in assuming or supposing that it related to sodomy, it would also be wrong to assume that he was wrong, because we have got to remember this is all a a symbol. This is all a representation of things that are happening at higher frequencies. Matter itself is frequency slowed to a density. So, where you find relevance in your symbolism is up to you. If your cosmogony, if your perspective has a veil rent because you translate something one way, translate it that way, but also perhaps translate it other ways as well. It might lift another veil. Moving on. We are going to the Shadow Tarot. Suppose I give an example. Okay, so Menstruum rubea, obviously. Or was it the, I forget what it was, some sort of ruby elixir, essentially, that related to the menstruum. Yes, that can absolutely relate to female cycles and the imbibing of said substances. But if one has done that and they're still having issues, if they're still fumbling, if they're still stumbling, perhaps there's another ruby elixir that they can fathom or conjure in the mind's eye to find about them in the real world that might bring about change. And one way they might do that is by asking themselves symbolically in their own world, what represents the female force? And if they see, like, perhaps a apple tree or something, maybe they could get the juice from the apple, and that would be a sort of rubea menstruum or elixir that brings about change in their life. We have to be able to translate things. Perhaps maybe they, I don't want to give too many ideas, especially because a lot of the ideas I'm coming up with would potentially be hazardous to other people. But my point of digression is to not just take things for what you're told they are. Try to translate them. Try to find other ways about doing things. Anyway, my only concern is that people do what they're told, one, and two, they do what they're told and it doesn't have the appropriate effect, so then they say, well, all of this stuff isn't for me. I had to stumble and fumble through so many things before I finally found my niche. So try different things, that's my point. Owanonin, the shadow of the devil. In worship of nature and all her forms, and joyful celebration, and animal innocence, and the lustful dance of spirit, clothed with form, lies the ability to materialize desires. I'll show the card here again. Okay. It is the witch's Sabbath, Saturnalia, set as the taunting scarlet woman dominates the Nightside tunnel. Set as the taunting scarlet woman dominates the Nightside tunnel dominates of Owanonin. Radiant as the sun which sets behind her, the reddened eclipse moon, her alluring evil eye of night, exudes powerful pheromonic essences that affect primitive mammalian back brain limbic consciousness. Indeed, regulating the most basic levels of instinctual behavior, emotions heightened, and senses intensified by stimulation of the ancient rhinencephalon. Interesting. Rhinencephalon. So is that the nose-headed? Or is that something else? Anyway, Rhinencephalon, satyrs, and fauns cavort in the Priapic bliss, engendered to which she gives the ancient sign of blessing. The pentagram, five-pointed star, that is the ancient seal of protection and sign by which humanity is known throughout the worlds, represents the four elements whose combinations constitute the manifested universe, crowned by the fifth element of spirit to which humanity aspires. Inverted, the pentagram becomes the sign of Pater Pan, the generative spirit of creation. Here is the goat-foot god, the devil, Saturn, ruler of the heaviness of matter, of the slow, inexorable rhythms of nature's daily life. Here is matter ruling spirit, matter, mother. Okay, so there are many interpretations of the inverted pentagram, one of which is driving spirit into matter. Another is matter subjugating spirit. Here is matter ruling spirit, according to this text. Matter, mother, she who clothes all things with form, she who keeps our boundaries, she who holds us in reality. For it is woman who brings about man's downfall through subtle pheromonic workings of her body. Spirit is pulled into incarnation by physical desire, falling from heavenly origins into the abyss of time, reveling in the sensate joy of getting down and dirty, covered with filth and excrement, clothed with material existence. All right. Here is Wiccan worship of the goddess and god, nature in her myriad manifestations, celebration of joy, animal innocence, and life. Here is the lustful dance of spirit clothed with form and flesh. Here is the worship of the impulse, which brings us back time after time, pulling us into physical incarnation. Owanonin meditation. The powers of Owanonin are living through the senses, being attuned to the vast rhythms of nature, following the wisdom of the body and taking joy in all phases of the cycles affecting human life. Through the powers of Owanonin are derived wisdom, power, the ability to draw healing energy, and the physical vitality from contact with the earth, as Tellus derived his strength, Tellus. And Owanonin here is the ability to ground potentially disruptive forces. And working with Owanonin, we are in contact with all manner of fairies, gnomes, sylphs, undines, and devas of the kingdoms of the earth, and learn to find their power spots, to communicate with all forms of life. And working with Owanonin, and working with Owanonin, we gain the ability to materialize desires. In Owanonin, we connect with a feeling of oneness and a sense of ease in a holistic world of which humanity is a natural part, where instincts are not evil, where everything, everyone, and every act are acceptable. And a necessary unfolding of the faceless one, Hecate, La Belle Dame, Sans Merci, the unfathomable great goddess. Need to work with the energies of Owanonin is in blind submission to authority, feeling trapped, as though we are nothing more than myrmidons to corporate patriarchy, nothing more than myrmidons to corporate patriarchal anality, made to dutifully sacrifice natural needs and functions to demands of industrial efficiency. In Owanonin, we experience impotence accompanied by guilt at the natural urge to joy and sexual expression, and find discomfort with a free outpouring of orgasmic energy. In Owanonin is found a sense of vengeful righteousness and imposition of one's sex morality upon others, at the same time feeling isolated, trapped, controlled, depressed, alienated from nature and the body. Such longing to escape the sorrow of existence ends in addiction to religions and worldviews that deny sensual pleasure, and the here and now, paying homage to false promises of transcendence of worldly woes. All right. Moving on. Pathworking and Tunnels of Set. Focus on the sigil and chant or vibrate the name of the guardian until you feel a conscious connection with the frequency of the tunnel. At the same time, envision the image coming alive, moving and growing until you see it spreading before you like a landscape you can enter. Visualize clouds of black smoke emerging from the image, flowing into the ritual space and enveloping around you. They carry a fragrance of fire, blood, and sexual fluids, with sparkles of energy charging the atmosphere in the temple. When you get to this point, extinguish the candles, close your eyes, and with the image building up in your inner mind, send a message to the guardian of the tunnel to guide you through the experience. Visualize that for a moment, everything fades away, and the whole world disappears. Then, the darkness around you crystallizes into a scenery. You stand in front of a gateway with the burning pentagram. As you anoint it with blood, it opens, and you enter a black temple lit by torches. There is a smell of blood and sexual fluids in the air, and the whole atmosphere is charged with fiery energy. As you walk further, you notice the guardian of the tunnel sitting on the black throne in the center of the temple. Around you, there are many doors that lead to many corridors and chambers, all of them a part of the realm. Ask the guardian to show you which direction you should go, or simply let his senses guide you on the journey and explore the labyrinths of the tunnel on your own. You will find there your fantasies, especially those connected with the sexual sphere. So feel free to explore and indulge in them until you feel fulfilled and free from whatever binds you from manifesting these desires in your life. Then return to the main chamber. You will see that the throne is now empty, and you have become one with the guardian of the tunnel. Sit on the throne and open yourself to whatever may come now. When the whole experience is over, travel back to your physical body. Close the working and return to your normal consciousness, or an even more grounded one, if you wish. All right, that's it for this one. Went on a couple rants, but hopefully that's something that isn't too bothersome. Hopefully there's some original content coming out and some insights, personal insights coming through. So that'll be all. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them below. And have a good rest of your day, good rest of the week, good rest of the month, good rest of the year. Take care. Thanks.